It is June 11th, 2023, and it is very hot outside, and the GE is not happy at all. I'm going to let you take a listen to the compressor, just to give you an idea how unhappy this thing is. Everything has been cleaned out, just so you guys are aware. I did clean it out. I pulled it out of the window yesterday and cleaned it up real good. And so everything's clear, and let's see how unhappy this thing sounds with the hot weather that we have today. Alright, so just kick back in. Listen on how unhappy that thing sounds. It's blowing ice cold out the vent here. Compressor is a Samsung rotary, by the way. Yep, this thing is not happy right now. That's insane. Just the sound it's making right now. Everything's still working okay. It's blowing ice cubes out here. I don't have my temp gun on me right now, but this just gives you an idea just how unhappy these things can get. Now we're just going to give you another idea of what a happy air conditioner should sound like in hot weather. So we'll see you downstairs at the weather wheel. Okay, so I am downstairs right now, and it's actually quite humid down here in the basement, so I'm expecting the weather wheel to really make some condensate today. You see it's not running right now. We are going to be firing it up today. So, you guys heard the General Electric first, because that's who we were closest to, and it was not sounding happy in this hot weather, so gonna go ahead and get the beast fired up here. I'm gonna give you an idea just how well this thing really runs, because this thing is a beast of an air conditioner. It's a 12,000 BTU, 115 volts. Now, before we go and fire it up, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about this unit and how it got, and how I was able to save it and get it in my collection. So my big old feathers, as I like to call it, it's a 12,000 BTU, 115 volt air conditioner, built in August 1965 by Feathers Corporation of Bssement, New York. So Bssement, New York is where it was built. Now, the air conditioner itself is of relatively old age. You know, it's going to be 60 years old, 2025. It's going to be 58 coming August. So it's a pretty old air conditioner, and it still works really well while it's ice cold. And also, we're going to feature the 5200 BTU Gen Electric. We're going to fire that up today as well, just to give you an idea what a happy air conditioner sounds like in a normal running environment. So, just going to go ahead and get set up here. Get everything we need plugged in. But the other GE will feature later on when we do a demonstration of how to clean an air conditioner without needing New Bright or any other types of chemicals that are normally used during air conditioner cleaning. I've got simpler methods that work better, and I will show them to you guys in the next video. So, for our test, we're going to go ahead and get the weather wheel warmed up first, since it is rather cold. Our thermostat is not engaging because it's 61 degrees down here. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the Pillinois, let that do its job and warm up, and then hopefully it should warm up the feathers to the point. So we're going to turn on the oscillation. It's nice and hot already. So yeah, there it goes. That's warming up. That should warm up the thermostat, and we'll see you guys when it clicks. Alright, so the thermostat on the weather wheel just clicked. It has warmed up sufficiently, but we're going to give it another extra minute here. And in the meantime, while it's doing that, we're going to show you the other air conditioner we actually are going to feature in this video, so I lied earlier. Here is my 5200 BTU Gen Electric air conditioner. I have not used it much at all, because I only used it once this year, but we haven't been able to do a late spring 2023 startup and test. So we're going to get the weather wheel run up, and then in the meantime, while it's doing that, while we wait for the pressure to build up, we can do a initial spring 2023 startup and test, even though this one is late. So, without further ado, let's fire up the beast of an air conditioner. The 1965 Feathers weather wheel. Gonna get the fans going here, since that's all it has for right now. Alright, so we're going to put the heater. We're going to simulate hot air going in, just like the General Electric. Let's see how happy the weather wheel is. It's probably going to be a bit happier. 3, 2, 1. Classic AJ fire up right there. Right there, just music to the ears. So now we're going to go ahead and do the 2023 startup and test. of the General Electric 5200 BTW air conditioner while the weather wheel is building head pressure. Here we go. We're going to get all the way low. And there it goes. It just kicked on. That's Matsushita rotary, by the way, so it's a good one. There we go. They're both building head pressure. Wow, just like that, GE already getting cold. That's insane. This thing's already blowing cold. This thing's probably got about 80% of a full charge, and yet it's still satisfied. Like it came out of, it's probably had a low charge since it came out of the factory. I don't know what's going on with that. Well, we do have some rust down there, so we did get that look at that, already cold. It's getting the oil moving. Like I said, with these rotaries, you got to give them time to get the oil warmed up. And once this thing gets the oil moving, it's really quiet. So that's another really nice thing about this air conditioner is the compressor gets super quiet after the oil gets moving. GE already ice cold. There we go. It's warming up, guys. This thing gets cold before it starts blowing hot out the back. So this thing's got a good compressor right there. It's Matsushita, made in Japan, and this thing gets ice cold in a matter of seconds. And just like that, just putting my hand in front of that thing, it's freezing. This thing's blowing ice cold out the front. This is fabulous. There we go. Now it's quiet. It's got the oil moving. So now let's take a listen to the weather wheel. Listen to how quiet that AJ is. This is a massive reciprocating compressor. And this just goes to show you how quiet these things are. They're a little shaky at first. It's your typical Tecumseh AJ. But once they get going, they are quiet as hell. This one, I don't even have to raise my voice to talk over it. Same with the General Electric right there. These are both quiet operating machines. So now with the weather wheel, we're going to explain how an AC system works, like this one. We're going to explain how the older systems work, since they are particularly my favorite. While we're waiting for this to build up to full operating head pressure, I'm going to explain how it works. So this is the heart of a refrigeration system right here. This is known as the compressor, and what it does is the refrigerant comes into the compressor via the suction line, and the compressor, whether it's a reciprocating, rotary, or scroll, what it will do is it will compress the refrigerant and it will turn it into a hot gas. So the refrigerant comes in on the suction line as a vapor into the heart of the system, the compressor. So the compressor just does that. It compresses the refrigerant and gets it nice and hot, which you can see here. That discharge line is nice and hot. And then the refrigerant will enter the condenser coil. And what this coil does is the condenser, which it condenses the refrigerant into a liquid. So the liquid will then, it will become a hot So the condenser is going to dispel the heat to the outdoors. So right now it's dispelling heat, and we're looking at our thermometer, and we're running pretty hot right now because we got the Arizona heat test here. But it's doing fabulous. It's blowing ice cold. It's doing great. And so you can see all these rows of pipes are what the refrigerant is in. So this is a 4-row condenser coil. So this is a pretty big one. You can see here the refrigerant comes in on these 2 rows first, and then it comes down to this 180 90T. And what happens is it goes a 45 degree down into the down across the bottom row, and then it goes across over to the 3rd, goes up, and then it comes down to the bottom row right here, the 4th row, and then it comes out on this line. And this is where the refrigerant should be coming off as a cooler, high pressure liquid. So if you're wondering what this little tube here is called, that is called your capillary tube. And what it does is it changes the refrigerant from a cool, high pressure liquid into a cold, low pressure liquid. So basically it just lowers the pressure, and it's known as a pressure reduction device. And also it can be used as a limiter if it is equipped with a meter. So now the refrigerant, it's cold, it's a low pressure liquid. So now it enters the evaporator coil. So this is a double evaporator, by the way, which means that this system here, my willer wheel, has 2 evaporators, as you can see right there. So the refrigerant will go through this coil first, and then it will go through this one. Now it's pretty simple how it works. So then once it goes through the evaporator, it's going to return back to the compressor like it is right now as it runs, and it's going to come back as a cold, low pressure vapor. Now reciprocating compressors can handle a little bit of liquid refrigerant. So now I'm going to explain a little something about the Tecumseh AJ compressor and why it has been popular in old school air conditioning systems. The Tecumseh AJ compressor is very well known for being very quiet during its operation. The compressors are known to be a little shaky at first on startup, but once they start building pressure, they are quiet as hell. And the Tecumseh AJM12 and larger models, this one is an AJM15, they consist of an anti-slug feature which allows liquid refrigerant to keep moving if it should get into the compressor. Tecumseh AJs are available in a single cylinder configuration, and they are known as an inverted reciprocating compressor because the cylinder is down at the bottom of the compressor rather than at the top of the cylinder like in a conventional refrigerator. So you can see on the bottom here, I don't know how well you can see this, but here's the discharge right here. So that's coming right out from the piston at the bottom of the compressor, and it's discharging hot liquid refrigerant. Now the motor on this compressor is up here. So this is known as an inverted motor reciprocating compressor, which means the motor is at the top of the compressor instead of in the bottom. Right here is your terminal cover. This is your junction box where you make all your electrical connections and hook up the overload. Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is a 1 horsepower compressor. I'm not sure what the horsepower is on this, but this was made on first shift, August 31st, 1965. Has an Emerson motor in it. Serial number 720862. So if you guys could give me the horsepower on my Fetters AJ, please let me know what that would be. Locked rotor amps 45, by the way. So now we're going to check on the General Electric and see how it's doing. Just like that. It's doing fine. Let's see how quiet that compressor is. These Matsushita rotors are well known for being very quiet operators. I can barely hear it over the fans running. This thing is doing fabulous. It's ice cold. As you can see here, ice cold coming out. We do have a little bit of frost on the coil, but it'll probably It's already cleared up on the evaporator itself, so it'll probably clear within a few minutes. Yep, there's all your wiring right there. So this just goes to show how well these things really can operate. And the weather wheel, we're gonna give you a sound sample of the Tecumseh AJ. Just like that, blows ice cold. So now, just to give you an idea, the power of a Tecumseh AJ, if the fan motor were in this one still working, the system will be drawing 1400 watts of power at 12.0 amps, and the system itself would have an energy efficiency rating of 8.57. Because this is a 12,000 BTU air conditioner, you divide that by 1400 watts. So in order to find out your air conditioner's actual energy efficiency, you take the BTUs per hour divided by the watts, and that will get you your energy efficiency rating. So this one being a 12,000, 115 volts at 1400 watts, this unit has an energy efficiency rating of 8.57. General Electric has an ER of 10. So this one, you know the exact wattage, it's 5200 BTU per hour, 520 watts input. Well, actually, I don't know what the input is on this one. You'd have to look, but this one's got an ER of 10. But actually, I think it might be higher than that. I don't know. We'll have to look at the information tag and get that for you sometime. But, yep, she is blowing ice cold. Frost is going away, so she is doing her job, blowing ice cold. Weather wheel, same thing, blowing ice cold, doing what she does best, and she is one happy girl. So now we're going to go ahead and shut the GE off here for a minute, and we'll just let you hear the weather wheel. That's how nice and quiet that is. There is no knocking from the compressor. There is no sudden noise or anything. So this thing works good. Fan motor is good. The bearings are nice and ridiculously free, despite this sitting outside for a while before I acquired it, or before I got it, because this was a trash find. But this just goes to show that these things, they can still do good, you know, if they do their job properly and you take care of them like I do. Weather wheel, you can tell that thing is doing her job. She's happy and content. It's got a great sound. So we're going to get you a condenser temperature operating at 149 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the 20-inch high velocity fan. We're going to do a little overkill here and show you just how well this thing can cool down, you know, if you use the right fan. So we got the 20-incher right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you an idea just how much power this thing has when it comes to cooling down an AC condenser. So, without further ado, we're going to have to plug it in. So, let's plug it in and we'll go ahead. Alright, fans plugged in. We're going to go ahead and shut. There's the compressor. She's sounding healthy. Now watch this. Let's turn this big fan on. There it goes. So I have the fan aligned with the entire condenser coil, and you can hear the refrigerant starting to make different sounds already as we cool the condenser down. It's already brought it down to about 105. Let's give you an idea of what the compressor sounds like now. Big difference in pitch there, huh? So what we're going to do a full cooling procedure till it's frosted up, and then we're going to defrost it. So we'll see it for the defrost. Okay, so you can see she's frosted up pretty good now. Suction line just got a nice layer of frost on top. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you another sound sample of the compressor. We're going to let it run up for about a minute. Let the head pressure build up a tiny bit, and then we're going to just turn the evaporator fan and the heater back on in order to defrost the coil, or in order to defrost the unit and bring the head pressures back to operating. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. We'll give you another sound sample of the compressor. Now we're going to do the defrost cycle. Just like that, she's already defrosting. Unlike modern air conditioners, which take forever to defrost if they freeze up, these older ones, they defrost relatively quickly. So we're going to let that do its job. We're going to bring it back up to operating temperature. And then we're going to do a shutdown just to give you guys an idea just how well these things sound. Alright, she's sounding pretty content. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into shutdown mode for this, for our 1965 weather wheel. And we're going to give you the R-22 sounds that everybody likes on these old classic beauties. So what we're going to do is we're going to go heater first to cut off the heat supply. Enjoy the R-22 sounds. Listen to the classic R-22 sounds that this thing just made. It is insane that almost 60-year-old air conditioners, they still work as good as they did when they first came out of the factory. It is unbelievable how well these things still work to this day. And I'm very happy to say that a lot of classic air conditioners, they're probably going to stay that way for quite some time. Because they do a great job. They blow ice cold. And like everybody loves, they got a nice classic sound to them. That makes them such good machines. And that just goes to show how these reliable old AJs, they still do what they do best many decades later and for many years to come. Thank you very much for watching. The difference between an unhappy General Electric versus a happy weather wheel. And also a quick startup of the 5200 BTU General Electric air conditioner. Thanks for watching.